No Netflix? November!
So last month, I decided to go the entire month without watching Netflix or any fictional media at all. And the reason that I did this was because I wanted to do a media detox. Now, if it's the first time that you're seeing me, my name's Brett Warniers. I'm a digital artist and animator. And as a visual artist, that means that I have to be looking at the screen constantly. I have to always be paying attention to what I'm drawing and where I'm drawing. And it's super important that I get those details right. Otherwise, the piece isn't going to look right. But the real reason that I did this Netflix fictional media detox is because I wanted to open up more time for me to do more work that was more meaningful to me. I wanted to spend time, especially at night, I wanted to spend a lot more time creating artwork and learning about new things. And to just summarize it, I think it's been really successful because I've learned Blender. I put an NFT up for auction and I promoted it like crazy. It didn't sell, but it's fine, it will. I went viral on Instagram because of how much attention I was paying to my content, and I've been put in front of a lot of new people, probably gained around 600 or 700 new followers. It's pretty cool. And I'd say that it was a massive success. I got a lot of the things completed that I really wanted to get completed with having my nights back and having my time back. The first couple days were kind of difficult. Like maybe the first 3 days, I felt like something was missing. I felt that like urge. I've also been physically addicted to alcohol, and it almost felt similar to that. It felt like this craving to indulge in these shows. I suddenly think about the characters from the shows that I've been watching, and I'll want to watch them. But honestly, that died off super quickly. What I did instead was I watched a lot of documentaries. I watched and listened to a lot of podcasts. I just tried to indulge myself in as much knowledge as I possibly could. One thing that I did instead was by learning Blender and literally learning a new skill, I feel like I really created new neuronal connections, and I was able to learn the program really fast. Granted, I'm not new to 3D. I've been doing this for a super long time, but I'm completely new to Blender. So to jump into this software and be able to do things relatively quickly and like actually create cool results was insanely satisfying. So it's also not my first time doing a Netflix detox. I did it for a week during the summer of 2020 because I was like full on addicted to watching superhero shows. Like I would literally sit on the couch and I would just consume these shows for hours at a time. It would come to this point where I knew that I should be doing something else. I knew that I should be focusing on things that are actually going to create something real and tangible in my life, but I couldn't. The emotional investment that I had in these characters, that I had in this plot line and in this fictional universe just had me so captivated to the point that I was aware I was wasting time and there wasn't anything I could do about it. And that was the thing that kind of freaked me out about it, because it does just consume your time. And don't get me wrong here, I have an animated show that I want to get on Netflix. My show Quantum Soup, it's been slowly developing itself for the last 6, almost 7 years now. I'm super obsessed with this universe and I'm completely inspired by TV shows. It's by fictional shows that spark of interest was planted in me and kindled that fire. That's literally where it came from. I was watching Tarzan when I was like 9 years old or something and saw a computer graphics waterfall. And I remember that being the first moment that I was like, I can create that world. That thing that I'm seeing on the screen right there, I can create that in computers. Humans made this. I'm a human. I can figure out how to do this. And it was from watching a Disney movie that really gave me that idea. So I think that movies and fictional shows, they obviously have a ton of benefit. However, the one thing that really gets to me is the way that the Netflix platform is structured. The way that it it doesn't show you the end credits. It doesn't show you the opening scenes of a series or the opening intro. It just gets right to the good stuff. It just takes you immediately right there into this new world, right into the action. And during my time of just watching only educational content, basically, I ended up going down some rabbit holes of the effects of technology on our dopamine receptors. And technology works a lot like a drug. Like, it has very real physiological responses, much like you would have with a drug, which is mind-bending. But it kind of makes sense because technology is super stimulating. It's bright, it's colorful, it literally has the capability to keep us up at night and keep us glued to a screen. I've been up till 4 o'clock in the morning numerous nights, not a while ago, but recently, just working in Blender and being so excited and thrilled. Anytime that I understand a new tutorial and I'm able to create something, it's this fascinating feeling of excitement to like build something within this space. Social media and Netflix and basically all apps do exactly the same thing. They give you that stimulation, they give you that dopamine hit. You're like basically running a slot machine of content and of material that is intended to entertain you. And they want to show you the things that are as entertaining as possible, that are meant to keep you on the platform. This is something that I can't get behind when it comes to Netflix, because one of my core values and concepts with my show that I want to incorporate is that I want people to feel inspired to turn off the show after an episode and go do something that's really meaningful to them. It might not be the best business model, but that's the feeling I've had when I've been super inspired by a documentary or by an animated show. And most of what I watch is animated shows. And I love how we can incorporate morals into these stories, and we have this very visceral sense of being involved in the show with an emotional connection to the characters, and they're all relatable. It's an adventure just to watch these shows and go on this journey with these imaginary fictional characters. So a lot of the documentaries that YouTube was showing me were actually History Channel documentaries. And while the content in these shows might be real stuff, the way that they edit it and put it together is complete nonsense. It's so ridiculous and over the top. And it's all that stimulating, flashing imagery that makes us really interested in the show and really engaged in what's going on. It makes it appear to be a lot more intense than it actually is. And I think that's kind of funny, because when you're talking about something like giants, that's a very interesting subject. I kind of believe that giants and Sasquatch are actually the same creatures. Just my opinion. My point is that Netflix is designed to be very addictive, to keep the viewers on the platform and engaged in the show for as long as they possibly can. Which makes sense from a business perspective, but also, like, don't they make money whether people are just subscribed and paying per month? Like, don't they make the same amount of money regardless of what the watch time is? That one I kind of can't figure out. But what I really wanted to create here is this foundation of knowledge that I can draw from. Literally draw from, that I understand things a little bit better in the world, and I can create better art from that. I wanted to create better material, write better stories for my show, learn new skills to be able to execute on these particular artworks in a more interesting way. And learning Blender, I think, definitely helped with that. And especially in the last week, I've been watching Netflix again. I've been watching, there's a couple awesome new shows came out while I was on my break, and I'm sensing that feeling of captivation, of not being able to turn it off. I'm really feeling that again, and just really aware of like how Netflix is actually affecting me on like a neurological level. Because it is harder to jump back into work after I watch a really stimulating and awesome fictional show. I just finished Dragon Prince. It's amazing. I'm watching Centaur World, the second season right now, and I already love it. It's so funny. It's really inspiring, and I'm trying to really watch it with, what's the word? Boundaries in place. Because I want to watch it to an extent where I'm getting a lot out of it and not to a point where I'm wasting time. Because I think there is a threshold there that we can hit where we can actually get the most out of a show and still be entertained while also be inspired to carry on with other things in our life. This is something that freaks me out about VR and the idea of the metaverse, is that it reconstructs like all these things that we know and love in the real world, like being in nature and spending time with friends and playing games in a social setting. It's really fun, and having it in this virtual environment where everything is fabricated and also glowing is really addictive, for lack of a better word. It really is, and it can really hijack the emotional center of our brain, and then reality just kind of seems dull after that. So at the end of it, I felt like I reclaimed my time. I felt like I took my time and my energy back. And also, just to be clear, I was watching fictional shows to a point where I wasn't finishing the things that I needed to finish. The things that I had planned to do that day, I wasn't able to complete because I was just glued to this story and this fictional universe, and the emotional attachment of the characters became my own emotional attachment. What really blows my mind is that we actually can get in a dopamine deprived state when we engage in these stimulating activities such as Netflix or Hulu or social media, especially adult films. They can hijack that center of our brain where we feel like we're doing something productive, but we're not, but we're just sitting there. We get to be lazy while somebody else basically does the work for us. And I did not want that to be my life. I was noticing that start to happen, and I knew that I needed to take back control. So all in all, I think going up one whole month without Netflix was a really good decision. I'm honestly really glad to be back and watching Netflix again. And I'm noticing that even just in the last week that I've been checking out these shows and really enjoying it, I've noticed that threshold where I'm like, I need to turn this off. Or I need to like put music on and dance and wiggle around or something. I need to do something that's going to get me off of the couch, off of this chair, and is going to get my body physically moving and engaged again, and is going to give me a feeling of satisfaction from something else. I think it's really important that we have that in mind and that we have that self-awareness to know when the best time is to actually turn these shows off and tune into something else. Tune into something that really interests us and excites us. Tune into something that's really going to give us that visceral sense of satisfaction. For me, it was creating objects in Blender, and it was watching Blender tutorials and following along. Honestly, the hardest part is getting started, is what I really noticed. The hardest part is getting started, but once I actually got flowing with it and I understood what I was doing, I could pause the tutorial and I could just go and experiment in the software. I was really enjoying that process because some of the things that I made were just so interesting. It also aligns with my desire to create an animated show, and just understanding how this 3D software works is really essential towards creating interactive and engaging environments that can be, turned into epic stories that will inspire other people, or they can be turned into NFTs and artwork. And as an artist, if I can create more visual imagery that looks the way I want it to look, and I can create it faster and not have to compromise on quality at all, then I think I'm really achieving my mission. And part of my mission is to make media that is beneficial to people, that after watching it, if you watch my show Quantum Soup, afterwards I want you to feel inspired to go do something. I want to motivate you to make changes and take action in your life in a way that's going to create something of value for you, that's going to create better connections with your friends, that's going to motivate you to go have experiences that you're going to remember for a lifetime. Because I think that those are the things that are really the most powerful. I can't remember too many times where I was recalling the season finale of a show and I was like, oh my God, that changed my life. I don't think that's ever happened. I've been really excited by shows and I've recommended them to friends and they're like, hey, what show should I watch? And I'll say, The Flash. It's such a good show. And it is. It really truly is an amazing show. But what I believe is even more amazing is actually physically getting out there and doing these things that terrify us, but we know how important they are. It's getting out there and doing things regardless of what kind of result we might have. That's something that's important to me, and that's a value that I really want to express through the stories that I tell in my own cartoon show. And I knew that if I continued watching Netflix at the rate that I was, which was a lot, then I wouldn't be able to do the things that I really wanted to do. So I'm really grateful that I took this chance to do this. I'm making this video because I really want to encourage other people to make observations of their life and their habits, their routines, and analyze where maybe they could get some more time out of something to do something that's going to create a real, tangible result. I don't know what it is, but like there's probably at least a couple things in everybody's life that they can observe and understand ways to, make little improvements. One final note, I believe media is medicine. I think the shows that we watch, whatever kind of shows that they are, they influence us in a subconscious way. They have a subtle impact on who we are, on how we speak, on the way that we engage and interact with the world, even if it's just really subtle subconscious ways. One example I can think of how I've been influenced was when I was 5 years old. I took an umbrella to my front porch and I opened it. My porch was about maybe 5 feet high. And I jumped off and I fell and hit the ground because I saw Bugs Bunny do this. The cartoon spirit of Bugs Bunny told me that if you jump off a cliff with an umbrella, you're going to float down gently and it's going to be soft and easy landing. That's not the case. I fell. It was really long ago. I don't remember if it hurt. But it was long ago, and that was the first visceral experience where I was like, wow, this cartoon actually influenced me to do something. And I think that if we have shows, if we have media that at the end of a hard day of work, if we sit down to relax and watch these shows, if they have a good lesson behind them, or if they're influencing or encouraging behavior that is truly genuinely healthy while still battling interesting problems, then I think it could really honestly be a trend that helps the world for the better. Maybe just in subtle subconscious ways, but I think that's better than a lot of the stuff that's been published recently that's just shock and nonsense. Jackass is a great example of this. It's terribly entertaining, not really useful though. It's mostly just shocking. And I think that cartoons and storytelling in the ways that we watch them today in this wacky year of 2021, almost 2022, I think it can make a huge difference if we just have those little steps in place, those little inklings of influence and encouragement through cartoons and through TV series. I think that it can make a really big difference, and that's my belief. It's a value that I have in all of my artwork. I hope that this video encourages somebody to do the same thing. In whatever capacity that might be. Also, thank you so much for watching. I would love to know what you think of this. My art, you can buy my art, link in the description. I set things up to make this part of the studio look pretty cool. Have an awesome night, great morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Take care.